So, Ken, every week when we review these singles, some songs you pick and some songs I pick, right?
Yes.
And you'll pick a song like Dancing Queen,
Yeah.
Bizarre Love Triangle,
Yes, sir.
Wicked Game. And I'll be like, Ken, why are you making me listen to these songs again, man? They're retired. But then there's songs where both you and I just look each other in the eye and we'll say the song and we'll be like, yep.
Oh, yep.
And we both got a big old smile on our face and we know that's a song that
Yeah.
we're both going to enjoy talking about.
Yes.
And that's today's song. And that's Don't Dream It's Over by Crowded House. This song, man, is one of those songs that the older I get, the more I appreciate. And we've been listening to this song for almost 35 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
This song was released in 1986. And that's when I first heard it, man. I first heard this song in middle school, watching that video.
Yeah. This song still, till this day, evokes a feeling in me today that it did when I heard this song back in 86 and the video was in peak rotation 87. We're in
And
middle
what do you
school.
mean? What feeling?
Not desolate, but almost a wanderlust. Almost as if you are somewhat stranded, but you're out there. You don't feel lost, but you feel as though you're wandering. Not so much of a wanderlust, but just the feeling of you're wondering. You're not questioning your life, but touch your soul. You're in touch with your soul.
And I think we'll examine that topic more when we get to the lyrics. But I know where you're coming from. But look, man, when I was a middle school student, I wasn't thinking about wandering anywhere except down to the store to buy a candy bar. Okay? But it wasn't until after high school, early 90s, that I fell in love with this song. I heard this song on the radio. I heard it
There's
on
no way you
MTV.
couldn't.
Right. It was all over, man. In middle school. It was all over the air. But it wasn't until after high school, man. I left my dad's house, had no idea where I was going, what I was going to do. Ended up in Alaska for a year, staying with my sister.
Yep, I remember that.
And it wasn't until I felt like I had to survive Alaska that you play this song and those lyrics hit and that theme hits. That wondering where you know there's a direction you got to go, you just don't know who you're doing it with or how you're going to do it.
Yep.
And I get that. But it was much later in my life, you know, when I was technically an adult by legal terms,
Yeah.
but I wasn't ready for the adult world,
no.
man.
No. So that feeling, kid, the song came out. My story, 2003.
Right.
Night sky, going down the Suez Canal, looking at Egypt under the night sky. That's the time where, as a pseudo adult,
Right.
that feeling hit again, and the lyrics in this song became relevant.
Yeah, because you're in the military. You're doing adult things. But before that, man, you were going to school, learning music, getting a degree in music.
Yeah. And living a musician life.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you're fighting for your country, you know, going down, traveling the world, but you're not with your family. You're there by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, not saying you were alone, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You weren't with family and friends. You were with coworkers and your brothers in the military.
It's like surviving Alaska.
Right. Except, you know, I wasn't serving our country. I was just surviving, man. But I get the feel. Now this song, huge hit, number 2 on the pop charts in '86. One of 2 top 10 hits from this album. The other was Something So Strong. You remember that one?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. This song has been covered by people such as Paul Young, and he had a huge hit with
Wow.
it in the early '90s in Europe.
See, that's why I never know. I'm gonna have to go back and hear that, because Paul Young, he has a voice. If anyone else other than the Mr. Finn were to sing this song,
Right.
I would want to hear Paul Young do it.
And there was a pop band in the late '90s, Sixpence None the Richer.
Yeah.
Remember?
Shout out.
Kiss Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know they're from up the street from here.
From where?
New Braunfels.
No, I thought they were from like Europe.
No, man, they're from here. Yeah. So, matter of fact, the guitarist, I want to say Matt, he's from San Antonio.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I had no clue. I thought they were European. Anyway, they covered this and had like an adult contemporary.
Yeah, they
hit
got
with it.
some mileage and some
But
traction.
here's my thing, man, and I'm not dogging Paul Young or Sixpence None the Richer. There are some songs, they're perfect the way they are. Just leave them alone. Let everybody appreciate the original like you did without having to feel like you need to interpret it. And that's how I feel about this song.
And as you bring it up, I did hear the Sixpence None the Richer version. I remember hearing that one back in the day. And they stayed true to the song. So I could say, and I remember listening and going, all right, that's cool. At least now you're turning a new generation on to a great song. Because whatever kid hears or heard at the time, heard that version, they will go back to the original. They will discover Crowded House and they will realize, wow, this original, you should leave it alone. This is a great song.
So as a gateway drug, I kind of agree with you. But you know what? They had another top 10 hit from the album, Something So Strong. Cover that one. Right? Cover Something So Strong. It's okay. You don't have to cover a song that doesn't need any improvement on it.
Yeah, true. And also, that's our childhood, man.
Right.
That made the mark. That was our song.
Hey, you know there's some Sixpence None the Richer fan out there who's really offended right now. Well, that's my favorite song. Hey, do you think their fans like call them SNTR or something?
They probably do now in the
like
21st century.
NKOTB or something. Anyway, so let's talk about this band Crowded House. So this band was formed out of the ashes of a new wave pop band, Split Enz. And they had a minor new wave hit here, but huge hit down under because they're from down under.
Yep.
With I Got You. The band is huge in New Zealand and Australia. Okay. They are in the ARIA, which is Australian Recording Industry Association Hall of Fame. So this is a band that sold millions of records in Australia, like huge stars. And there's a lot of stars from Australia that like they're huge in Australia, but kind of like nowhere else.
Yeah. That's every region of the world has theirs.
I know, but like I'm kind of drawn to these Australian bands like Cold Chisel or Rose Tattoo or whoever, right? Just these bands I'm like, oh wow, I like that.
Yeah.
I like these Australians. I know you're not big on the Australians. We'll keep moving along. But or like Men at Work, right? But Men at Work was worldwide. Anyway. But the lead singer and founding member is Neil Finn, and him and another Split Enz member, the drummer Paul Hester, they founded this with another bass player. I forgot the bassist's name. I didn't look it up. But this is really Neil Finn's group. This is his second go around at fame. Okay.
Yeah.
Split Enz splits up. Him and Paul Hester form this. Later on, Neil Finn's brother comes along, adds a fourth member to the group. But not for this song. Okay, we're still at a trio for this album. But for me, when I think of Don't Dream It's Over, I'm thinking not just of the lyrical content, which we're going to save for last. I'm also thinking about the music. We've already talked so many times about the 80s and how it's so synth driven and electronic drums, kind of plastic.
Yeah.
This song has a very organic feel, man.
Yeah. These are real instruments. Keep them earthy, organic. The guitar starting off. Yeah, it had that nice
jingle, man.
80s jingle to it, but starts off by itself, desolate. Chunk, 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 chunk. Then the rest band comes in. Do 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 doom. Groove is set.
You're right. And it's one of those songs, man. It makes you feel happy and sad at the same time.
Oh yes.
Right? Because it is a song of hope. And I'm not even talking lyrics, just that sound that's coming out with that guitar, and it makes you happy, but there's a sense of melancholy to it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And those are kind of my favorite songs, man. It's like I like the pain, I like to feel sad, Ken. What key is this song played in? Do you have any clue? Because it feels like there's a certain key that like musicians will have that just kind of sets the tone like that.
Might be E minor.
right? Well, probably a minor key, right? For sure.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But as you asked that,
Now I got your wheel spin.
yeah, typically it's E minor that people use to evoke that feeling you're discussing.
The thing that I'm most impressed about with this song is it was a song that was recorded in the middle of the 80s. And we heard a lot of artists and bands kind of succumb to that 80s sound.
Yes.
Their former band, Split Enz, new wave band, sounds pure 80s.
Pure 80s.
Right?
Yes.
And they didn't do that. They said, hey, we're a little bit older now. We took the makeup off and the skinny ties.
Yeah.
We're a little bit more serious. And we're going to make a song where you can't tell if this song was made in the 80s, the 70s, the 90s. There's like a 30-year gap where this song could have been inserted into the top 40.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise you that I said, oh, this song was from 1972 or this song was from 1997. Nobody would be surprised.
You're right. I agree with you on that.
Do you agree with that? And because we've talked about that a lot, songs that sound dated. What do you think keeps a song from sounding dated? What's the formula?
The organic sounding instruments.
Real instruments.
Yes, real instruments. Though this song, because it is the 80s, though the organ sound is patched, keyboard, organ, still it's not a far-fetched.
But it sounds like an organ.
Yeah, it's not far-fetched. Still keyboards. So it's not like you're taking your synthesizer and patching in the horns.
Right.
Or something that is truly stale.
Or just looping a drum beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And
real instruments.
I'm glad you brought that organ up because this song has not one, but two organ solos. Who does that? Who does that in the 80s? Nobody has organ solos in the 80s. They put two of them in there. Nice little guitar solo. I know you're a guitarist, but it's really those organ solos that make you think, man, these guys are just playing with their hearts. They're not thinking about the pop charts. Even though it was a successful song, they couldn't have been thinking about the pop charts by saying, oh, let's put some organ solos in this.
Now, I do wonder, like if we could sit down with Mr. Finn, I wonder how big of a Dylan fan he is.
Why would you say that?
Well, because it is a warm, authentic, or organic with instruments, and it does have the organ sound. And he's a solid songwriter.
Right. And you know, part of it's just growing up, right? Because like I said, man, when we heard Split Enz, you and I listened to it. I like that song. I Got You. I really enjoy that song. But it's not really an organic song.
And I could do without that song. But what I do like about that song is that you can hear Neil Finn. You can hear the beginning of his style, of his personality coming out in that song.
And to be fair, man, I've listened to the first 3 Crowded House albums, and even they succumb to that 80s sound, where it's like, oh, that's from the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, you only have to guess, you know, which decade it's in. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and every band did it in the 80s.
Because it was the 80s.
It was the 80s.
So, yeah.
Every band did it. But every so often, man, we'll hear a song like this where you're like, yep, they nailed it.
Yeah. It's just...
And another thing is, both you and I, we're big fans of like alternative radio from the 90s, you know, college radio in the
dial.
90s.
Yep.
Right? And this song could have easily been played on alternative radio in the 90s. If we had never heard it in middle school, easily could have said, oh, I like that. I'm going to go find out which artist that is.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like some band from New Braunfels or something. You know? But as a guitarist, man, there are these little lead guitar flourishes, especially in the beginning and the end of the second verse. Like, you know, after the first chorus, there's these little guitar flourishes. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's not breaking glass, but it's like dancing off glass. I don't know how to explain it.
Nice. I like that.
But do you know what I'm talking about, or you have no clue?
I can't hear it right now in my head.
It's
but
okay,
I love your description.
But that's the things, the accents. That's what I'm going to call them. The accents of songs that make them stand out. It's like the bass line in "You're All I Need to Get By," right? It's an
Yeah.
accent. You know, even though it carries that groove, it still has that accent. It's that organ in between Brain Damage and Eclipse from Pink Floyd. It's an accent that just somebody throws in there, makes you go, wow, I can't believe they did that there. And that's what they do with the guitar there. So there are so many little things in this song that I appreciate, besides the fact that it's an organic song in the middle of the 80s when we're knee deep in plastic synth.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What do you think of Neil Finn's voice, man? Because I already told you, man, Paul Young has one of the best voices of all time. I didn't want to hear him singing the song. That girl from Sixpence None the Richer sounds so sweet, man. This is like, you know, honey in my ear. I don't want to hear her singing the song. My man Neil already did the song justice. Why cover it? So what do you think about his voice?
I think Neil Finn has a great voice. I like his voice. I don't know if you're aware of this about Neil, how well his voice is.
You're going to tell me.
Well, last year, yeah, pre-COVID, Fleetwood Mac, they were going to do a tour without Lindsey Buckingham.
That's
So,
right.
To replace Lindsey Buckingham, they hired two people. An awesome guitarist named Mike Campbell
From Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
to handle the guitar duties, and a man from down under with a sweet voice to handle the singing duties.
And to be
Mr.
fair,
Finn.
that says a lot about Lindsey Buckingham that they needed
Yes,
two people to replace
the one. Oh,
They
absolutely.
got two troopers
great,
though.
two
You're right.
great musicians.
But that is pretty impressive. But you know, he landed a gig with Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
You know, hey, they had organs in their song, man. Maybe it was
So
that
if
Fleetwood
you're
Mac
curious about
influence.
how great of a voice he has, boom, Fleetwood Mac sought him out.
Right. Now, you and I mentioned that we both heard this song from the video, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the video, it's kind of two videos. It's almost like on one hand they're trying to be like a Peter Gabriel tribute video with the smashing glasses and like the special effects, right? But when it's just them walking through the different rooms of the house with the video projector, the
Yeah.
film projector,
And the dates going down.
the
at the
dates
bottom.
at the bottom,
Oh,
like an old photo album, and the photo album's on the bed, and the furniture covered in cloth. That's when it hits you, man. Like, yeah, that sense of remembrance, of longing, of thinking of people who've passed. That's because I look at photo albums all the time, man. A lot of our family photo albums were destroyed through a story that we'll share some other time. So I don't have a lot of those. So when I see old photos, I cling to them. A cousin of mine has photos of my grandparents and great uncles and aunts from the 30s and 40s, 1930s and 40s. And you see that Aunt Mary sitting on a stool in 1938, or my grandfather and grandmother, taking a date by the river, by the Mississippi River back in like 1932 or something. And you're like, wow. It just kind of takes your breath away a little bit, looking at those old photo albums. So I think they really got that part right, but they couldn't help themselves and had to throw in those 80s special effects like the smashing dishes.
The cups and dishes.
Yeah. And then the clocks floating by or whatever. But I'll forgive them for that one, man. But there is a gravitas to that part of the video. Like I said, man, they date themselves with them special effects, but
it was still a solid video, man.
Right. Now, lyrically, Ken, you and I have talked about this. This song could easily be interpreted as like a song of forbidden love, right? Like Romeo and Juliet or something. But I never thought of it as a straight love song personally. I always thought about this as, here's a guy looking to fight his battles with him, like mental battles or emotional battles, right?
Yeah.
Okay? So just looking for a partner to fight alongside him, not necessarily like a romantic interest, just somebody like a soulmate or a life partner or a best friend. Could have been any of them.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always looked at this. Like, so, having that kid lonely in Alaska, man, figuring out how you're going to get out of this frozen tundra, looking for that person. Sometimes you find them, sometimes you don't. But that's how I've always interpreted that song. That's just my own personal interpretation. Let me share you another interpretation, man. So, when Split In, Split Up, the only member to come along with them was the drummer, Paul Hester. In a way, I like to think that this is his song to Paul Hester saying, look, man, we just lost our band, or it broke up, it's over. Don't dream it's over, man. We can still have a second life after Split Ends. And I'm completely ignoring the fact that they were in a band between Split Ends and Crowded House. Doesn't matter. I just like that because Paul Hester has a sad story.
Yeah. So he ended up committing suicide.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was, I want to say early 2000s. He was, yeah, because he was on a children's show, like a Barney type children's show.
Okay.
Don't remember which one it was, or Teletubbies. He was a character on there. And I just remember hearing on the news, oh yeah, I remember Crowded House. Oh snap. My kids watched this show. So that's why I'm like early 2000.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what battles he was fighting.
Or the details, right. Yeah, but that's tragic, man.
Yeah, I felt bad for him, you know.
Right. And you always think,
broke.
right, like depression, sadness, despair, doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is, where you're at in your life, married, divorced, whatever. Everybody goes through, poor, rich. Everyone goes through this, man.
Demons are real, man.
We've seen it, man. We've seen it with some of the most beloved, popular figures in pop culture history and music. You know, it happens. And how do we give those people hope? You know, and that's the other theme that these lyrics explore is hope. Because there's a song, they come to build a wall between us. We know they won't win. That's hope, man.
Yep.
We're going to fight them demons. We're going to fight them battles. They won't win. Kind of reminds me of like when you and I did Ooh Child from the 5 Stair Steps.
Yes.
You just need that little glimmer of hope. Whether you're stuck in West Texas all alone or you're stuck up in Alaska in the frozen tundra all alone. Just give me a song that gives me a little bit of hope to get me through the next day.
Yeah. I agree with you on that, brother.
Well, anyway, Ken, we've talked about this song enough. It's a song we both love enough that we've probably gone far past our expiration date. But for everyone out there that's listening, let us know what you think of Crowded House. What are some other songs that you can think of that we should listen to from this band? We know the hits, man. We know the 2 big hits from this album.
And if you saw Crowded House live back in the day or even up to pre-COVID.
More importantly, if you're from down under, Australia, New Zealand, you have any stories or any mentions of Crowded House or the Split Ends, let us know, man, because I love that. Like when how do people from their home countries react to their stars? Please. But for everyone else, if you enjoyed today's show, hit the like button. If you want to hear more shows, enjoy the show overall, please hit subscribe, and we'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.
Peace.